Well.
It looks like bullish gains are back on the menu. If you don't know what I'm talking about the world's largest casino, aka the old stock market, and the fact that we are less than 1% from a new all-time high. Folks, I'm old enough to remember the start of this week, as in yesterday, when people thought that the market was going to absolutely crater and there was no way we were coming back from that. Yes, I do find it a bit humorous of how quickly things can change in the most beautiful casino in all the land. So in this video, we have two important things to break down. Numero uno, what in the world is going on in the overall stock market and why did we get such a swift recovery? But then more importantly, numero doso, I want to get into the top 3 setup plays I see right now. I'm talking about Palantir, I'm talking about Meta, and I'm talking about Tesla. I want to break those 3 plays down because I think they could have some beautiful gains to the upside. And in this video, I want to be covering everything you need to know before you put your money on the line. But of course, if you enjoy these market breakdowns, don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. With that being said, let's rock. For posterity's sake, I am filming this on Tuesday, June the 24th, and when the market closed today, the official headline was Dow jumps 500 points, oil prices crater as investors bet Israel-Iran truce will hold. So turning it to the overall market, the S&P 500, you can see we closed just below 6,100, which was a nice gain of in excess of 1%, which means from the all-time high that we saw in late February of this year, at least at the time that I'm filming this video, we are now only down by 0.9%. Man, we are so close, you can almost taste it. And guess who else agrees? The options market. Overall, trending up. We had call buying, we had put selling. Both of them add to a positive delta. One is adding positive delta, the other is removing negative delta. And man, oh man, did we see some bulls up until around 3:30. And surprise, surprise, that's exactly when you had some profit taking because we hit that key level of 6,100. But even with that in mind, the SPY gained 1.1%, the NASDAQ 1.5. You even had the Russell, the small cap sector, putting in a nice gain of 1.2, almost 1.3. And right now, as I'm filming this, Bitcoin hanging out at 106,000. With all that being said, you could see right here a lot of green on the tech sector, and that's exactly shown in the Mag 7, where granted, if you were watching up until Powell was talking today, there was a little bit of weakness. Around 11 a.m. is when the options market really started to turn, but look at the end of the day. Right here, around 3:45 is when the options market started to go crazy. We put in a new high delta reading, as in the options market was the most bullish it was all day right at the end of the day, which is part of why in the short term, as in a swing trade, I think that the bulls are still going to be in control. But just as a quick side note, it wasn't just the tech sector today. If you look at the heat map of the entire S&P 500, you really have to squint to find a little bit of red, and other than that, the green clearly dominated. So here's a very quick rundown of what happened today. Early this morning at 10 a.m., we got the consumer confidence number coming in a bit lower than expected, and the market wasn't really the biggest fan of it, but it also didn't hate it. And then Jerome Powell spoke also at 10 a.m., and it lasted hours. Powell emphasizes Fed's obligation to prevent ongoing inflation problem despite Trump criticism. Powell reaffirms wait-and-see posture on rate cuts. Congressional hearings follow an emerging rift within the Fed on rate cuts and sharp criticism from Trump. Yes, some of the Fed members are saying, hey, if the numbers suggest it, we might get a rate cut in July. We really didn't get that commentary from Powell today. And in terms of the criticism, well, surprise, surprise, Trump keeps calling them too late and also keeps calling them dumb. Now, obviously, all of that isn't really that exciting, and it's definitely not the major reason of why the market was rippity-skippity-doo-dah. The reason for that was right here. Israel-Iran conflict, Trump pressures both sides for ceasefire. The president announced a truce, and Israel later said its airports were returning to full activity, and it was lifting restrictions on civilian movements. Now, early this morning, the story was very different. So, according to Trump, early this morning, around 1 in the morning, he said, hey, we have a ceasefire. And then around 7, you can tell tensions were boiling over, and he was basically telling Israel, you better not do it, because they said they were going to once again retaliate to Iran because apparently they didn't follow the ceasefire, and it was a kind of a he said, she said, tit for tat, and then they argued it should be symbolic, and Trump was obviously not happy. In fact, you probably saw the video from C-SPAN where he said both sides, both Israel and Iran, don't know what the F they're doing, but as you could see, he went on a little bit of a miniature tirade. Israel is not going to attack Iran, and then from there, Iran will never ever rebuild the nuclear facilities. Well, as you can see, thankfully, nothing really happened today. All the tension seemingly simmered down and the airports opened back up, and that's when the market really started to rip. So in terms of a one-day reversal of why over the past trading days relative to today we were down, and then all of a sudden we pulled this V-shaped recovery and just ripped, and we're within 1% of a new all-time high. Well, it's because this global conflict, I'm not saying it is, I very much hope it is, but the market is betting that it is in fact over. So obviously that's all with respect to what's already played out. Now the big question is what to pay attention to next. Well, for the remainder of this week, we have another testimony from Jerome Powell tomorrow, 10 a.m. New home sales. There's also going to be a 5-year bond auction. On Thursday, you're going to get the GDP numbers and also durable goods and the 7-year bond auction. And then to conclude the week and almost the month, we are going to get the PCE inflation report. Those are all the major macroeconomic data drops you should be paying attention to, but also we're getting some more updates related to the trade wars. EU proposes to retaliate if US imposes baseline tariffs on the block. We also heard from Hassett, the White House economic advisor, to expect a flurry of deals by around the July 4th time period. So not really this week, but potentially next week. Allegedly, we're going to get multiple updates. Obviously, depending on which way they do or don't break, that could be positive and or negatives. So please pay attention to that. But man, oh man, in the meantime, are the bulls sitting pretty? Look at this. The SPX closing out at 6,092. Clearly, the price structure is bullish. Higher highs, higher lows. Recently, technical breakout. We popped, we pulled back, higher low, and then we broke up from that. So just price structure, price action, price momentum, very bullish, clearly within spitting distance of an all-time high. Also, from an options perspective, we are seeing quite a bit of egregious bets coming in above 6,100. We have negative gamma above, positive gamma below. That is supportive for a continuation higher. And need I remind you, the final week of June till pretty much the final week of July, from a historic seasonality standpoint, guess who dominates? That's right, the bulls dominate. Now, the reason I'm bringing up that the bulls are in control for the overall market, I do find it's easier when you're picking your individual equities, at least for your swing trades, for your active trades, that the direction you're playing is in agreement with the overall market. Now, is that an end-all, be-all rule? No, but we're about to talk about some heavy-hitting tech plays such as Palantir, Meta, and Tesla, and they tend to like to go in the way of the overall market. So I want to bring to your attention that yes, my bet for the next 4-ish roughly weeks is that the bulls are going to continue to be in control, which bodes very well for, let's kick it off in no particular order, Palantir. Today, another beautiful technical breakout. So we hit an all-time high on Monday, June 16th. Since then, 4 consolidation days where we really didn't go up, we really didn't go down until today where we got that technical breakout. There's room to run to a new all-time high, and from there you have that open range breakout, and guess what? Your risk is minimal, just this recent swing low. Momentum is very strong, trend is very strong, and guess what? The options market is loving it. Those are the 3 things I always am going to look at. Price structure, price momentum, and the options flow. Right now, Palantir has all of those. And then guess what? The overall market, including the tech sector, seasonally bullish. Palantir, throw it on your list. Love it. I want to see that breakout. I want to see it touch 150. And then from there, I want to see the new options OI, the open interest, to see where the next big players are going. Up next, we have Meta, pretty much the same situation. Beautiful momentum, beautiful structure, recent consolidation. We're breaking out, whether you want to call it a Darvis box, whether you want to call it a Don chain, whether you want to call it a bounce off a key psychological level of 700, whether you just want to say that the lizard man is crushing it with his company. It's a technical breakout. It's looking beautiful. I'm looking for that follow through to 725. And then from there, potentially a new all-time high in excess of 741. And the one thing we haven't checked on there, same thing, options market, beautiful. It did dip until about 11, and then from there we ended the day at a new delta high. So momentum, structure, and options flow with seasonality all there. And then last but not least, I do want to talk about Tesla. Now this one's a little bit more complicated because yesterday is when it actually had its technical breakout. We popped, we sold off, we went up, sideways, 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 got the technical breakout, and then it got hit today. Technically an inside day. We didn't exceed yesterday's higher low, so it's an inside bar. And part of the sell-off today of why it dropped 2% was right here. Tesla robotaxi incidents caught on camera in Austin draw regulators' attention. Now, if you missed this, Tesla's robotaxi network officially launched in Austin this past weekend, and some videos came out that basically the regulators want a couple answers for. Tesla was contacted by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration on Monday after videos posted on social media showed the company's robotaxi driving in a chaotic manner on public roads in Austin, Texas. In the video shared widely online, one Tesla robotaxi was spotted traveling the wrong way down a road, and another was shown braking hard in the middle of traffic, responding to stationary police vehicles outside its driving path, among several other examples. This news coming out is exactly why in the short term people were like, okay, let's just wait to see if it's serious or not, which is exactly why I want to put Tesla on your radar, because if you miss this breakout the way I did, of course I'm invested in it, but in terms of a short-term swing play, no, I missed that. And we might be given a second opportunity, people like me who are a little bit late, because if this story ends up becoming nothing and we say, okay, breakout, pullback, higher low, looking for that follow through on top of strong options, well, that's the opportunity to get in. And right here, we're just not seeing it. Obviously, options got hit sideways, 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 and a little bit of a sell-off into the end of the day. And that's exactly what happened with price. No one is surprised, but the fact that we had this technical breakout and we haven't taken out any of the recent swing lows tells me that this is something you got to watch, because if we take out these recent highs and we see that strength in options, if it starts to look like Palantir, if it starts to look like Meta, man, oh man, will that be an opportunity to basically ride this above the recent high of 367. And then from there, who knows where it might stop. So right now, in my humble opinion, the overall market is looking great within 1% of an all-time high. And then the specialty tech setup plays right now, I'm loving Palantir, I'm loving Meta, and with a little bit of positive development, I'll really also be loving Tesla. So throw them on your watch list, and of course, let me know what you're going to be watching that I might have missed in this video. Let me know in a comment below. Obviously, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, also let me know. I'll do my best to get back to all of you. That's what I have from you now. I'll catch you in the next one. Have a beautiful day. Peace.